To order. Please note that the meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. As such, I request that you please speak loudly and say your name each time before you begin to speak. Agenda item number 1 is welcome and roll call. I will now do the roll call. Please respond with "here" when your name is called, and in advance, please excuse any mispronunciations of your name. Deborah Fonat, Elisa Beth Cummins, Nancy Walters, here. Marvella Starlin, Joan Becker, here. Evangeline De Leon, here. Pauline Ballesteros, here. Carmen Edwards, here. Julie Artiga, here. Carrie Hines, here. Sue Ann Lopez, here. Erin Bailey, here. Deborah Wise Matthews, Wendy Donnell, Christina Murphy, Melinda Mitchell Jones, here. Manuel Santa Cruz,
here.
Rebecca Krepper, Catherine Tart, here. Beth Mancini, here. Linda Raymond, Linda Carpenter, Erica Yu, Mary Rivard. Donna, please confirm for me. I count 13 present, which makes a quorum.
That's correct. I have 11 that are not present.
Thank you very much. Can I now ask the coordinating board staff to please state your name for the record?
Donna Carlin.
This is Rebecca Leslie. I'm the program director in the Academic and Workforce Division.
Gary Tomerlin, Deputy Assistant Commissioner.
Thank you very much. We'll so note that your attendance on this call. We will now go to agenda item number 2. Item 2 is consideration and approval of the minutes from November 3rd. Does anyone have any corrections to the minutes as distributed? Hearing none, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes as distributed.
This is Nancy Walters. I move that the minutes be approved as distributed.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
This is Carrie Hines.
This is Joan. I second the motion.
Donna, did you get the name?
I got Carrie Hines. Correct?
Yes, I think Joan also did it as well.
Joan, your voice. Poor thing. Please don't stress.
Yeah.
No,
I'm squeaking.
Oh, you poor thing. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, and Donna, I did not ask you, do we want to go by asking for yay and nay, or do you need to do a roll call for this vote?
We can do a yay and nay.
Okay, all those in agreement to approve the minutes as submitted, please say yay.
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 Anyone opposed, nay? Hearing none, the motion is passed. We'll now move to agenda item 3, which is public testimony. Is there anyone from the public on the call who wishes to testify? If so, please state your name and the organization you represent. I hear no comments, and so I will indicate that there is no public testimony to be heard, so we'll continue on to the next agenda item.
Beth, before we get started, I wanted to ask if anyone had joined the call from the time that the roll call was made.
This is Marvella Starlin. I just joined in.
Thank you.
Thank you. So our count is now 14. So back to the agenda items. Agenda item 4 is discussion and consideration of changes to the field of study of nursing based on public comments received. A summary of the public comments received was sent to you by Donna Carlin. Members of the committee were given an opportunity to respond as to whether or not we agreed to the comments, and a spreadsheet of responses were sent to the members. There were a few comments where the committee agreement or lack of agreement was very close. In most cases, there was a clear majority. We would now like to discuss and vote on each of those comments separately for consideration of course changes or additions, and then vote on the final summary changes to the field of study. Are there any questions or comments about this agenda item and that description? Hearing none, we can go to the first item that needs more detailed discussion, and that is adding a restriction to the chemistry course offerings. Adding a restriction to chemistry course offerings to Chem 1411 or higher. On that recommendation, is there any further discussion based on the information you received from the public comments? And I'm sorry, Donna, could you just give us what the summary vote is? I just realized I did not print that off. I just have comments, I don't have counts.
Yes, this is one where there were 10 yeses and 11 nos. And that was to add the restriction to chemistry 1411 or higher.
And Sue Ann, is there any particular, would you like to lead the discussion on this point?
Sure, I'll be glad to. From my perspective, I voted no. I think that we need to have the flexibility within the institutions as to what chemistry the students can take. And also, it was noted, I believe, that it is a prereq at some institutions for biology 2421. here at South Plains, we don't offer 2421. We offer 2420, and that was an option that we had come up with at our last meeting, that it could be either one of those courses. And so for that reason, and it is not a prereq here for 2420, I would recommend, from my standpoint, that we not adopt this and leave the flexibility to the student or to the institution. Is there any other discussion from anyone else?
So our original recommendation was not to include it.
Originally, we just, I believe we said any 4-hour chemistry with a lab. We didn't specify any particular course. And then for micro, we did specify either biology 2421.
Let's not do micro. Just for chemistry.
The only reason I mentioned that was because the discussion revolved around Chem 1411 being a prereq for one of these courses.
Right. And just to clarify, the committee's recommendation is for chemistry with lab, any 4-semester credit hour ACGM course, including lab.
Correct. That's what we had talked about at our the original meeting.
Correct.
Correct. And then we received public comments that asked the question, should we add the restriction?
Right,
and,
the 1411, yes.
And you have presented your opinion that the rationale for why no.
Correct. It just depends on, is there any other discussion by any other committee members? You know, what would their recommendation be? Do we want to change it? Do we want to leave it as it was originally decided upon?
So, committee members,
Hi, this is Catherine Tart.
Yes, Catherine.
I also believe we should keep it the way we have it. So I was a no vote as well. And if we look also to our accreditation, our accreditation is not prescriptive. It just asks that the students have a physical science course, and so any chemistry with the lab would fulfill the requirements for a physical science. So I voted no. I agree we should leave it as we have it for that reason.
Colleen Ballesteros, I voted yes, but after I'm listening to them talk, it does make sense to leave it the way we originally put it.
Okay. Other comments? We've had 3 speaking in support of retaining it the way that it is currently presented.
Nancy Walters, I would also like to leave it the way we had it presented. I think it gives the universities the maximum flexibility, and then it still meets the requirement of the physical science. So I think we gave it a lot of deliberation. I believe we should leave it like it was.
Okay.
This is Carrie Hines, and I also agree that after listening to leave it the way it was.
Okay.
Carmen Edwards, Midland College, and yes, I believe so too, to leave it as it is.
This is Erica.
Melinda. I want to change my vote to leave it as it stands. I believe the 2411 does focus a bit more on the biochemistry aspect, but that certainly is not a requirement for accreditation. So I do vote to leave it as it is.
And who was that was speaking? I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Pardon?
Linda Jones.
Okay.
Is there anyone else who would care to speak for or against the addition of the restriction to the chemistry courses offered to 1411 or higher?
This is Erica Yu. I voted, let me see, I wanted to change to the chemistry for science. However, I do understand because of that will add an additional requirement. The reason that, I prefer the chemistry for science classes at least from our students, we see that they are doing much better. in our nursing programs if they have a stronger science background. But, I can agree with that because currently we do accept both, and I can see everybody's reason to keep the way it is, so I'll change.
Any other comments? I know we discussed this at great length before. We now have the input of public comments and further deliberation and thought. Want to make sure everybody's had a chance to express their opinion if they care to do so publicly. And if not, then we can entertain a motion on this topic.
Before we do so, this is Donna. I need to make one announcement. We've had a request from the people here at the coordinating board that are recording this, that if you could, if you're not speaking, to mute your phone because we're getting a lot of background noise, and then also to mute any computer sound. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just remember to unmute when you speak, as from someone who tends to speak to the mute. I was asking for a motion on this topic.
This is Carmen Edwards, and I move that we retain the original decision that we accept any chemistry with lab, or any 4-hour chemistry with lab.
This is Erin Bailey, and I second that.
I have a motion and a second to retain the original recommendation of any chemistry as opposed to restriction of chemistry 1411 or higher. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We'll now consider adding a 4-hour math 1442 elementary statistical methods as an option to math 1342 elementary statistical methods. Is there discussion? Sue Ann, do you want to present this one?
Yeah, if I'm reading this correctly, it was a pretty even split with comments. It was 11 and 11. Is that correct, Donna?
Let me check real quick.
I believe that was the one that was 11 and 11.
It was 12 were in favor of that and 11 were opposed.
Okay.
Rebecca Leslie from our staff has some usage data that she can provide in regard to this item.
Thank you. Please do provide that information.
Okay, this is Rebecca. For the reporting year of FY16, 15 community colleges and 2 universities reported offering the 4-semester credit hour version of elementary statistics. This compares to 59 community and technical colleges and 21 universities offering the 3-semester credit hour version. Then I went even deeper and looked at colleges with pre-nursing programs and with universities with BSN. 5 CTCs, community technical colleges with pre-nursing programs, offer the 4CH version, and 6 CTCs with pre-nursing programs offer the 3 hours, so there's 5 to 6. Then, when you look at university, there is only one university that offers a 4-hour version of the statistics course, and it is in their nursing program. But there are 12 universities that have a BSN program, and they offer the 3-semester credit hour version. So in terms of the course version offered at community colleges and universities, the 3 credit hour version is the preferred. And in terms of community colleges and universities with pre-nursing and BSN programs, the 3-hour version is also preferred there.
And as a matter of recall, we do allow for substitution to be made, and a number of the people who said there was no need to make the change pointed out that if we keep the 1,300, they can't 1342, that 1442 could be subbed in if necessary. So those are the points of fact. Could we now have discussion on those who felt yes, it was appropriate, and those who felt no, it was not?
This is Erica Yu, and I think
Erica, we lost you.
hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we couldn't hear you.
Just even though, my point is that even though they can apply for us, for like as a substitution, but then it takes extra steps. And a lot of our students actually, especially they, come to us with a science background that they do take 1442. So it's, I think it's convenient for students to see that it's there so they know for sure that can be used to satisfy prerequisite.
Okay, so that is a commentary in support of this revision. Would anybody like to speak?
Yeah? Sure. This is Catherine Tart. I put a yes, and what I would suggest is it would be Math 1342 or 1442. I think maybe that's the same as a substitution, but the point is they have the statistical method. So either course would suffice for what is needed at the baccalaureate level. So I don't know if we can put an or in there. That would be a suggestion I would have. I don't know.
Carmen, you mentioned in your comments that you brought up the question of whether or not having, which would then, if it's an either or, it gives us a range of hours. Is this something that we can address at this point? Is what the coordinating board thinks is appropriate? Because this is the one place where the equivalent courses don't carry the same number of credit hours.
Yes, Beth, thank you. I was thinking of that myself, and I appreciate the good discussion on this. That has been my understanding, is that we are to avoid using a range of hours when we're doing any type of degree plan. I think that those of us who've been in education a while have kind of seen that in the past, and really we're to stay away from that now. And so since this is the field of study, as a degree plan would be, then I think that we stay with the 3-hour course, knowing that for the individual student who has had a 4-hour course, they're going to be good to go. There's no reason not to accept their course, but to have the range on the field of study, on the printed field of study, was something I was not sure we should do. And I think another question or just a comment to make is, always as I was going through this and really reflecting on myself on what are we doing and why are we doing it and who's it for, is that the field of study is not for our students who plan to apply to our ADM program, for an example, but it's to help them prepare to go on to the baccalaureate level. And so that's what we're about. And anyway, I think that we can list just a 3-hour course and know that on an individual student level, they will have the 4-hour. That they would be fine.
Thank you, Carmen. Would a member of the coordinating board staff, Donna perhaps, speak to the preferences or requirements related to having what would end up being a range of hours in a field of study?
This is Gary Tarmerlin, and there's a bit of a slippery slope here. And as a general rule in the fields of study conversations, what we're saying is if there's a standard of practice that predates this conversation, and the most obvious example is the sciences, where community colleges have historically done 4-hour science courses or 3 1s or whatever, and the community colleges, I mean, the universities have done the 3, that's kind of been acceptable. In this case, you've got the preponderance of evidence towards really the 59-hour, what'd you say, Rebecca, 59 community colleges do the 3-hour version versus the 4-hour version.
Yes.
It seems like this is one of those cases where the 3-hour version is really the course that probably should be in the field of study. And I mean, I guess maybe throw it back really to the university partners that are on the call is, so if a student came with the 4-hour version, are you going to substitute it and count it, or whatever you want to call it? I mean, are you going to transfer it? Are you going to substitute in lieu of the 3? How would you handle that, I guess, is the question.
This is Catherine Tart. I can answer that. If it's not on the field of study, then I would have to send it over to the math department and see if they would accept it. If they don't accept it, then I can accept it as an elective for math, but they may not accept it as a statistical course. And so I can override that as the dean, but it will go to the math department. So if it's on the field of study, they have to accept it. So there's no question then, and that protects the student.
This is Melinda Jones, and being a health sciences center, we have probably a little bit more leeway in terms of accepting those 2 courses as in substitute one for the other, as we don't have a math department to consult with.
And this is Erica Yu, and for us too, if it's not on the field of study, then it takes extra step for students. They have to go through the registrar office will contact us, and then there's extra step for us to review and make sure it's acceptable or equivalent.
Okay, this is Rebecca Leslie, and in terms of the ACGM, those 2 courses have exactly the same description and the same learning outcomes. So if you're saying your course is equivalent to 1442, you're also saying your course is equivalent to 1342, because in the ACGM, they are grouped together. There is no distinction. There is no additional content delivered in 1442 as opposed to 1342. Those are just alike in the ACGM, no distinction of content or learning outcomes. So I think that's a consideration.
Well, that's not fair for the student. This is Catherine Tart, because now they're having to pay a semester credit hour extra for that same exact course. So I think that might be a disservice, or that the community colleges.
And that might be that they have a lab. It may be that they want to do a lab, and there are ways to provide labs without increasing credit hour value. So that's an issue, in fact, that the ACGM committee, struggles with, and we look at that preference and how to assist with clarifying these avenues. But this is a case where in the ACGM, it's the exact same course, but some choose to offer it as a 4-hour and some, the majority, the 3-hour. In terms of the student, they're coming with an extra hour. They're coming with an extra hour when they transfer, if they've taken the 1442.
This is Erica Yu again. When I look at the...
Thank you for holding.
When I look at the descriptions for those 2
Telling the
courses...
stories of the University of Houston. This
Oh, dear.
is the moment. 1, 2, 3. Up and away.
We just got put on. Can somebody contact? Yeah, we got it. Thanks. Got put on hold instead of mute.
This is Erica. When I look at the course descriptions for those 1342 and 1442, most of the schools specify that 1442 is for STEM majors, and 1342s are for others. So that's not true?
In the ACGM, there's no distinction. That is some distinction that an institution, an individual institution, may be putting on it. But as far as what's supposed to be in the content, they are exactly alike.
So as I look at the, this is Beth, as I look at the comments, I'm running down them. Those who spoke to yes was because some schools have it, and if we do it, it will be an efficient way if we include it in the field of study, as opposed to those who said no, there's no need to include it because we can use a waiver if that's what we need to do. But indeed, a waiver requires some level of energy, and the potential risk that the math department would say no, though given the discussion we've just now had where the learning outcomes are exactly the same and those sorts of things, that should be rare that anybody would say no to that. But we have a pretty even split on votes. Could anybody speak to why they might be persuaded that the issue of yes is or no is now clearer to them, that they changed their vote based on the discussion that you've just heard? What's persuading you? Or nothing? Everybody's standing where they are. Stay again.
Calling by Esteros from El Paso. You know, I voted no, and I think that we should leave it at that. We don't even offer the 1442. And the kids can maybe go to the university and maybe get it and have it. But we have the 1342 in our degree plan, and they can easily transfer it. You know, and I think then if they do take a higher level someplace else, that's to their benefit. But I really think we need to leave it at the 3 hour and leave it at that.
So from the student's perspective, are they better served with our clearly saying both are acceptable or leaving it as a waiver? Is there one way or the other that the student is better served?
I think if more schools, Pauline Ballesteros again, if more schools are using a 1342, I think that speaks to leaving it at 1342. I think the students are better served by that. I think we're getting a bigger range in numbers as far as that's concerned.
Well, this is Melinda, and I'm just trying to think, you know, sometimes, you know, courses are offered at different times, and it may be during the sequence of a student's degree plan that one or the other is not offered, but there is at least one of them being offered, and that's when they'd like to take it.
This is Catherine Tart. If we're looking to transfer students into our nursing program, I think nursing is big enough to say that we can accept both courses.
Right.
And all students then are served.
So agree. So agree.
So we have a support to that question. I wonder if it might be useful to take a straw vote, because we need to have a slate of recommendations complete. So we have to end up on one side or the other of this. We've heard more information about what may be more inclusive, what might be considered more work. Neither of these precludes a student either way, which I think, again, is very important, because these are student-centric considerations that we have. So let's do a straw vote, which will mean we'll need to do do this by roll call so that we can have a group. Has anybody joined the call since the roll was taken? I know I added one more person here.
That would be Erica. Yeah.
Okay.
Wendy Donnell.
Wendy. Okay. All right, let me go down this list, and then if I miss anybody, you can tell me. Nancy Walters, how would you straw vote? How would you vote at this point?
Leave it the way it is, 1342.
Okay. Marvella?
Leave it like it is.
Joan?
Leave it the way it is.
Thank you. Evangeline?
Leave it the way it is.
Pauline?
Leave it the way it is.
Carmen?
Leave it the way it is.
Julie?
Leave it the way it is.
Carrie?
Leave it the way it is.
Sue Ann?
Leave it the way it is.
Aaron?
Leave it the way it is.
Wendy?
Leave it the way it is.
Melinda?
Add the optional course.
Manuel?
Leave it the way it is.
Catherine?
I would have both classes.
Erica?
I'll say take both classes.
Erica, are you still here or on mute?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Okay,
couldn't hear your
Can you
response.
hear me? This is Erica. I think we should take both.
Okay, add. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
You didn't call Rebecca.
I missed Rebecca. I'm sorry, Rebecca.
Leave it the way it is.
Anyone else whose name I did not call? Hearing no other names, just for a sense, this was just a straw vote. We have 3 people for adding and the remainder to keep it the way originally proposed.
How do you vote?
To leave it. So that marinating for everybody there for a moment. Is there a motion somebody would like to make? If not, we'll continue discussion.
Nancy Walters, I move that we follow the committee recommendation and use Math 1342 for statistics.
This is Erin Bailey, and I second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
2 opposed.
3.
3 opposed. I only heard 2 before. Okay. 3 opposed and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 4. The motion passes. Those were the 2 that where there was split or close votes on the part of the members of the committee after review of the public comments. The other public comments all had a clear preponderance of no from the majority of the committee members. Is there anyone who wishes to discuss any of those individually? Hearing none, is there, we can move to agenda item 5, which is discussion and consideration of final recommendations for the field of study for nursing based on the public comments received. So at this point, there was an opportunity. We as a committee presented a full array of recommendations for the field of study. We put it out for public comment. Receiving public comment, it was reviewed by all members of the committee. Opportunity was provided on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 recommendations that were picked up by members of the public. We've reviewed them all, and at this point we have not made any changes to the original recommendation based on those public comments. am I misstating this in any way, Donna?
No, that's correct.
Okay, so that what is currently in front of the committee is the previously presented as draft field of study recommendations. Is there any need for discussion of those, any other items on the field of study recommendations?
So this is Catherine Tart. I just want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. So for the microbiology, we have biology 2421 or 2420. For the nutrition, we have biology 1322 or HECO 1322. And then for English, we have English 1302 or English 2311. So we have 1, 2, 3 that we give ORs to. And then the chemistry is any chemistry. Is that correct?
I believe
that is correct.
Donna or Sue-Ann?
Yes, that's the way we had initially said it.
So it is, your question is confirmed. Your statement is confirmed.
Thank you.
Hearing, yeah?
This is Carmen Edwards. Regarding the English option of the technical and business writing, I think it surprises me that the university would not require 1302, English 1302, and would accept the technical and business writing. And so just had a comment about that in fact that this is going to be acceptable on the university side.
As I recall, we did discuss this in our face-to-face meeting, and I'm looking through my notes here to see if I can pull anything out specifically. Does anybody have any other recollection that doesn't have to depend on their notes?
And this is Donna. I just wanted to add that, this was sent out for public comment, and we didn't have any comments at all about English 1302 or 2311.
Being a problem. So
Correct.
We must have at the time felt it was not.
This is Erin Bailey. I think we decided that was what we said was the minimum the universities could add on to that if they decided to. But this was a base.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Hearing no other comments, I'd accept a motion to for the final recommendation for the field of study for nursing.
Nancy Walters, I move that we accept the field of study curriculum for nursing as presented from the committee.
Thank you. Is there a second?
This is Carrie Hines. I second.
Having a motion and a second to approve the field of study as recommended by the committee, following a review of public comments and further discussion, is there any further discussion that anybody'd like to bring up at this point before we vote? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signal by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed, please signal by saying nay. Hearing none, this motion is accepted. So we'll move now to agenda item 6, which is discussion of timeline for consideration by the coordinating board for the committee's recommendations, and I'll turn that to Donna.
Okay, so the field of study for nursing curriculum that you just approved will be forwarded on for consideration to our board. We do have a cause committee meeting that it will be held on June 28th. Here at the coordinating board, where it will be considered for the first time by a subcommittee of the board. Then it will be considered by the full board on July 27th.
Any questions of Donna about the timeline?
Donna, when was the date for the subcommittee again?
June 28th.
May 28th?
June.
June 28th. Thank you.
Yes. And July 27th.
This is Catherine Tart. Do you need any of us there?
Right now, let's just leave it open, and if Donna needs somebody, maybe she can reach out to somebody to come and speak to it. I believe that will probably be put on the consent calendar because it's already kind of had this public comment period and everything's been hashed through, but those decisions haven't been made completely. And so, maybe if we had a volunteer or two, or Donna might reach out and voluntoad somebody as needed, but I kind of think it'll be on consent.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'd like to, on behalf of my co-chair, Sue Ann, and myself, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to participate on this committee and for everyone's contributions. Certainly the goal of the legislation was to ease the transferability of courses for students, and the work done by yourselves as committee members will help nursing students in Texas reach that goal. So again, it has been a pleasure to work with you all in this respectful exchange of information and understanding, and I believe we've ended up with an excellent product that will move things forward. So are there any last comments before I entertain a motion to adjourn?
This is Donna. I just want to also add my thanks to the committee for your time and contributions to this effort.
And if I could as well, this is Gary, not only to build upon what Donna said, but based on the efficiency that this committee moved through this work, if y'all would like to do any other disciplines, just reach out to us. And
Anybody can send you a note if they'd like to do that.
Okay. No, just sincere. We thank all of y'all sincerely.
Thank you very much, and to thank the staff and all of you. You make the work easy to do. Thank you. You take good care of us as committee members and make sure we're prepared to do the work we're assigned. So thank you very, very much, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
That is? Who is that?
Melinda Jones.
Okay, and a second?
Erica, you second.
Walters.
Nancy Walters. And I'm sure there's no further discussion on that agenda, on that motion, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No one, and thank you very much, and you all get an hour and 15 minutes back in your time.
Thanks again.
Happy Nurses Week, everybody.
Thank you. Happy Nurses Week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.